It's time to review some books again. Hey everyone, Dylan Schumacher, Citadel Defense, and we are back with another edition of Tactical Book Review. It has been a long time since we've reviewed a book, and that's because I have been reading About Face, The Odyssey of an American Warrior by Colonel David Hackworth. And this thing is thick. I'm not sure if that you can quite see, but this is like 800 and some pages, and this is not like small print here. So I'd just like you to take a moment to appreciate the fact that I've been working through this thing for quite a while, and so we're going to talk about it. Now, if you were like me, you've probably heard about this book, and I've always heard it's so great, it's so good, it's so wonderful, you should read it, etc. And so, I thought it was time to read it. So I sat down and read it. First off, this book is not exactly about what I thought it was going to be about. I wanted to read a book about combat and combat leadership. I wanted to read a book that told me about experiences in combat and experiences being a combat leader and lessons that we can therefore draw from that. Turns out that's not what this book is about at all. I did not know that when I started reading it, and that was simply my own ignorance. This book is a memoir of Colonel David Hackworth's journey through the Army. So it starts when he enlists when he's like 16, give or take, I can't remember exactly, and then follows his career all the way through until he is 40 or so. And it tracks his time in the Army, and it tracks his turning from a person who's all in, absolutely loves the Army. It is his lifeblood, and his mother and his wife and his children, and it's his whole life. It's his idol. It consumes him. And where he gets to a point by the end of the book where he no longer trusts or want anything to do with the Army because of the way primarily they prosecuted the Vietnam War. And it tracks you through that. Hence the title of the book, About Face, right? Which means to turn around. This book is very well written. I don't know, David Hackworth probably did write some of it. It also says, and Julie Sherman, so he had someone to help him write it, I'm assuming. David Hackworth has written other works, so I do not think that he is an unknown or unaccomplished writer, and I don't want to give Julie full credit, but we got to give her some credit here. Very well written book, very well laid out. Lots of dates and names and details and places. Again, 800 and some pages. If you ask me to remember my entire career for 20 plus years and write down all the details, I don't know if I could do it. So, very well written, very well documented book. My main issue is, for the average American Minuteman, I just don't think this really gives you much. If you are confused about Vietnam, or you are confused about the military-industrial complex and how incredibly evil they are, if you are confused at all about the American military's desire to win in a post-World War II world, or if you ever wonder, why does General Miley, that treacherous Chinese-talking general who loves to give China information on us, why does he have so many medals on his chest, even though he's never actually been done on the ground combat? How does he get all these medals? This book will answer those questions, right? He does a good job documenting how in Korea people start to lose the initiative to win. He follows that through into Vietnam, where no one's interested in winning. None of the generals are getting real reports based on the ground action, because they have this zero defect army where everyone needs to be perfect all the time or you can't further your career, and how career-oriented people in the military completely remove its will to win fights. He talks about all the new military-industrial complex, he calls it wonder gear, that people are getting. He lumps the M16 into that category, that don't actually work, but we're paying millions of dollars for because the military-industrial complex has got to make its money. He talks about the we should call it metal inflation. He doesn't use that term, but I'm going to use that term. He talks about metal inflation, how everyone just gets a medal for everything all the time, and so it doesn't actually mean anything anymore. And he does a really good job, again, documenting this trend. And here it is. This book was written in 1989, I believe, give or take. Yes, this book was written in 1989. It is 2025. So we are talking almost 40 years later that this book was published. And I can't imagine it's much different. Everything I see tells me that all the problems he's talking about in this book still exist and are probably worse. So if you have any faith left in the American government or big army or anything like that, and you're confused about that, this book might be interesting to you because it'll probably do a good job of destroying those illusions that you have. However, if you already are kind of whatever about that, or you don't care, or you're like, yeah, I don't trust those things anyway, I don't know if this book is really worth it for you. Again, it's an 800-page slog through his entire career, and he documents all the little things that I just honestly don't care about, right? Like, he spends a couple years in Germany at this admin job, and there's like 20, 30, 40 pages on that. I'm like, yeah, okay, I mean, that's fine. I just simply don't care. That's all there is to it. Again, I thought I was going to be reading a different book. So this is my fault. I don't want to blame the author or the book itself or anything like that. We can blame me for just simply not knowing what the book was going to be about. There are some other books I would be interested in reading by Mr. Colonel David Hackworth, who I believe passed away in 2005. He wrote this book called something, I think it's Steel in My Soldiers' Hearts, and it's about how he went into Vietnam. He was in charge of a brigade, and he turned this brigade around. And he documents that a little bit here in the back half of the book. And I thought that was super interesting, and I thought, oh, I'd like to read more about that. He did write another book about that. I might look into that eventually. He also wrote this book called Vietnam Primer with SLA Marshall, who he goes through in the book and does not give too kind of words to. Very much paints SLA Marshall as kind of a grifter type character. Maybe grifter is a little harsh, but a guy who's in it for the money, which is interesting because I've read several of SLA Marshall's books. I have enjoyed them. I reviewed them on this channel. And he's very much the authority on a lot of things. However, Mr. Hackworth does not have super kind things to say about him, which is interesting. I'd never heard that perspective before. So perhaps my view of Mr. SLA Marshall has come down a peg or two. Again, if you're interested in why America lost Vietnam or the downfall of America's will to win in fighting wars, then I think you probably enjoy this book. Just understand what you're getting into. If, like me, you were looking for insights into combat and combat leadership and a better understanding of how those things go and how to do them and what mistakes to learn from, right? Then I would skip this one, in all honesty. Whatever you decide, I will put an Amazon affiliate link to this book in my description below. And if it seems like your bag, well, go for it. If you're really into reading military memoirs, I don't know if it gets any better than that. I mean, this is, might be your heaven. So I hope that's helpful. I hope it gives you something to think about. And no matter what, we should be reading books, boys. Do brave deeds and endure.